going off topic.
Off topic?
You really off topic right now. Yo, you way off topic. How is it that everybody's over here and you way over there off topic?
All right, family, we are officially live. We are here in the RBG War Room. Of course, this is Brother Omowale. I'm a little, it's crazy because it's like when I'm in like my performance mode, it's like it's real easy, like not to forget. You just had a script. I mean, you're ready to go. But today isn't really a performance, bro. Today is a conversation. I have an amazing guest in the building with me. I got my guy Rod.
Yes, sir.
From Flip Funding. I call it Flip Funding. From Flip Funding. Rod is a hard money investor, but that's not what I know Rod from. I know Brother Rod from back in the day. We went to high school together. And due to gentrification, our high school no longer exists. It was actually knocked down. Temple University acquired the property, and I think now it's like a track and field space. I don't know if you've seen it lately.
Yeah, it's a track and field space. I live in Maryland now, but I still pop in, town every other week to go see my mom. She lived right near there, so.
All right. I mean, the property values around there is going through the moon right now. It's kind of ridiculous. It's
crazy, man. I feel some type of way riding through there because we was too young to really take advantage of it at the time,
Yeah.
But, that's what really kind of inspired me to, get into what I'm doing now.
Yeah. We gonna get into all of that. But what's interesting, the way that I tap back in with you, I just happened to be on YouTube. This is probably like 3 or 4 months ago. Mm-hmm. And I was watching this channel. I think it was called like False Prophets, and they were having a conversation about the whole Jay Morrison situation. Yeah. And they did an interview with you, and I was checking out the interview. I was like, "Damn, that's my man, Rod." And you was kind of like breaking down how like you basically was the one who pulled him into the you want to break down that story real quick because I don't want to mess it up at all. And we ain't got to take up the whole interview with that because I want to talk about a lot with you, bro. So let's break that down real quick.
Yeah, sure. So like with Jay Morrison's situation, I got introduced to him through the Breakfast Club. You know what I mean? So at the time I was already investing in real estate, but I was just doing like 1 to 4 units, and I was just really getting my feet wet. But I had a few properties, but honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know anybody that was doing it that I could learn from. So I see this brother. I mean, he looks sharp. He's talking some things that it was appealing to me. And first of all, I thought he was valid because he was on the Breakfast Club. I mean, I was a little naive. I didn't know about the media game. I didn't know that people could fake their way onto these platforms at the time. So I figured they did their due diligence. So I trusted the guy. He's a black brother. I didn't see anybody talking like that. So I was impressed. So I reached out. He was talking about investing with or taking investments from like NFL or different professionals and doing hotel developments and big multi-units and stuff. And I was inspired. So I'm like, man, this is where I need to be. So I reached out to him to be a mentor of mine, So we met.
To be a mentor of his, or to be a mentor of his, or him to be a mentor of yours?
Yeah, because for me to be a mentor of his, because he had a show called he was on a TV show, like a real estate TV show, but he was an agent. But when I saw him in his interview, he was talking about he was doing these big development projects and stuff, So I thought he was actually doing it. So I reached out for him to be my coach or whatever, mentor. So he had an event up in Perth Amboy. It was at like a youth study center or something like that. Whereas though, you go to speak to troubled youth. He asked me did I want to participate, and I was interested because I used to go to the Salvation Army at Broad Brown. You know what I mean? So I used to love when people took their time to come speak to us and everything. So I'm like, man, I'm in a position. I mean, that's only right. I do the same thing if I was, positively affected by that stuff. So I went out there. There was a few other brothers out there, most from New Jersey. Guy, you familiar with Ash Cash?
No.
Okay, he's down with the EYL network and stuff right now. He's a good guy. Yeah. Okay. And Charlemagne was supposed to come too, but he didn't show up. So anyway, we was there. We all presented ourselves. So it was that. We left or whatever. So after that, Jay was like, man, I want you to be a part of what I'm doing. You know what I mean? This and that. We never had a coaching session at this time, by the way, but I guess he saw my knowledge and stuff when I came up there and I did the presentation, and he must have figured he couldn't do anything for me. So he switched up the pitch and wanted me, to join his team or whatever. So I was like, I'm doing my own thing though. I don't need to join your team, but I would, but let's nurture the relationship, see how things go, because I figured I could learn some things from him. At the time, I still didn't, I'm still thinking he was who he was portraying himself to be.
Yeah.
So then he was like, I got a lot of people reaching out, because he was like one of the first Black people that I knew, like on the internet talking real estate, whether, I'll get into the other stuff later, but yeah, he was talking real estate. So like naturally, a lot of us, like I gravitate to him. A lot of people gravitate to him because he was talking empowerment and, about moving the culture forward. And that's like, that's crucial for us.
Yeah.
So he was like, I got all these people reaching out, but the problem is I can't service them all. You know what I mean? So I came up with this idea to start a real estate school where we teach people how. It's called the J. Morrison Academy, of course, is his name. Yeah. But I didn't care about that because I'm not the type of guy that I don't care about being popular and all that. You know what I mean? I saw the vision. I'm like, man, we got an opportunity here to do something great. So, count me in. You know what I mean? But the thing is, I didn't realize that he didn't know anything about real estate. He was just leveraging the opportunity he had, to
platform.
To make more money.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the extent of that at the time. I just figured he just wanted to focus on bringing in the business, and I'll focus on the actual real estate content. I'm playing my part, he playing his position. So I'm like, cool, let's work, So we did it. I put together lesson plans now, and he was to do the videos and everything. So I'll do the lesson before each class. I would do the lesson, send it to him. And the reason I found out he didn't know anything about real estate, because it's simple stuff, a lot of it. I gave him the lesson plan. He'll come ask me to clarify it, like, before he go present it. Now he's gifted, and he has the gift of gab. Like if you sit down and have a conversation with him, he can go do a YouTube video and make it seem like he's an expert, about what you just, explained to him. Yeah. So he's crafty like that. But so that's what he was doing. But at the time, like, all right. I wasn't really feeling it, but I'm like, you know what? It's cool because as long as these people getting the proper information and, we still doing a good thing here. So I nipped that in the bud. I didn't care that he was a fraud because I knew the information that I was given was valid and, still help people. Mm-hmm. So we continued on, but then, I just started to see some practices that wasn't right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, for instance, he got a mentor. He had another mentee that he found through the internet and stuff. They discovered him. The guy's father passed away. And in Miami, he had a house that was worth like $500,000 or something at the time. So he convinced the guy to refinance the property and give him all of the money. You know what I mean? He got like $375,000. He gave the guy gave Jay all of the money. Yeah. And he didn't get nothing back. The guy, he lost, ended up losing the house and everything. And this was a young kid. He was like 18. He was naive, just thought Jay was the savior. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was different situations I saw like that I couldn't be a part of. You know what I mean? So I distanced myself. I'm like, I no longer want to be a part of this. I decreased my ownership. I was already invested in it. I invested money. I put up all the money at this point, and up until he got the money from this kid. Yeah. But after that, I'm like, listen, me and him was 50-50 originally. But I'm like, listen, I'll take 20%. I don't want to be involved no more. Y'all go ahead, do y'all thing. Just pay me, what you owe me. So I stopped being involved in the day-to-day. Yeah. Lo and behold, they came up with a plan to get Young Jeezy around the time Young Jeezy got caught with them guns and stuff in California. Yeah. He needed the good publicity, and Jay and them needed some publicity to get the business off the ground. So it just made sense for both of them. So they got in touch with Karen Civil to do a PR stunt or whatever, to act like Jeezy donated $1 million to the Academy. Yeah. It never did. It was just a publicity stunt for both of them.
Did you ever get a return on your investment from that relationship?
Not from him. I got a portion of my money back because I had to take it back. You know what I mean? And that's because this guy, he didn't have good credit or anything. So when we set up the accounts, the PayPal account stuff had to be in my name. And so even though I backed out of it, everything was still flowing through that account when it launched.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw everything, and this and that. But then I saw him paying people from different businesses from these funds. You know what I mean? So I questioned it, obviously. And he like, oh no, this and that, this not that, that's not that. Then suddenly he opened up another account and then he wouldn't give me access to it. He told me about the attorney said it's not best practice. I'm like, what do you mean it's not best practice? I own this company. So I don't care what an attorney is saying. Like, I'm invested in this money. I need to see what's going on with these funds, what the transactions are. So we got into a big thing, I got lawyers involved and stuff, but the lawyer told me like, this guy's a scammer. So, do you really want to waste your time? You know what I mean? Like, because it's going to cost you, and he doesn't have anything. At the time, he was in bankruptcy. For his house was getting foreclosed on in New Jersey and everything. So he just uprooted and moved to Atlanta and rebranded himself. Nobody knew him down there. And that's when, he started talking this Black Wall Street crap and all that stuff,
Atlanta seems to be the home of the makeover. And like, you can really go down there and become, especially if you got a mouthpiece. If you got a mouthpiece, like you can kind of like become whatever you want, because the transient or transplant culture down there is superficial. You know what I'm saying? It's like almost like a real life Instagram. Everybody is, portraying to be something that they not. You know what I mean? But in Atlanta, that just seems to be the culture. But let me ask you this, bro, because you North Philly boy or South Philly boy?
Yeah, I'm North Philly. Yeah,
All right, that makes sense. Because we grew up in a really rough area, and Penn was William Penn was a really rough high school. But there were a few brothers that I can remember. I'm class of 2001. You class of 2001, right?
Yeah, we was in the same class. Yeah,
okay, cool. There were a few brothers that I can remember who was on the right track, and I remember you, Raheem, and Tyrone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to brother Tyrone. Y'all used to always be together, and I think y'all went off to Penn State together, right?
They went to Penn State together. I went to Millersville. I was supposed to go there, but I didn't go with them for some reason. Yeah.
All right. What'd you major in when you went to Millersville?
Business management.
All right. So walk me forward to you leaving Penn to go off to college. Because a lot of us don't have it figured out, like when we go to school. Like for me, I didn't take the direct path to school. Like I kind of like went an alternate route,
right.
Kind of like, dealt with life a little bit. And when I was 23, I enrolled back in school at a junior college and then started my journey from there. But y'all went straight from high school. So walk me through that process of going to college, getting your degree in business management, and then making it over into the real estate game where you're doing real estate now. How that happened? What was that journey like?
So I never even graduated. I don't have a degree. You know what I mean? So all right, I went from Penn. I went to Millersville. Now I think what got me to Millersville, it was the wrong reason. We went on a tour because me, him, and Tyrone, rest in peace, Ty Dog. We were in a program. I forget, it was some type of program.
We're bound.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So we went we did that program. So we used to go to tours on different schools and stuff. So I happened to go to Millersville and I bumped into some guy from my hood. You know what I mean? So I'm like, this is where I'm going. You know what I mean? He was the man up there, went up there, but he was in all types of stuff. You know what I mean? He ain't last the first year, and I was there. And I got kicked out the year after him. You know what I mean? So, but I was up there just running wild on. You know what I mean? We fresh out of North Philly, and I ain't got to worry about my mom on my butt. You know what I mean? None of that stuff. So I'm just out there, doing all types of stuff. But so I got kicked out my second year.
Yeah.
Came home and was back, with my homies and stuff. You know what I mean? Back with my homies. I actually started working at Applebee's.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing other things, like in the streets too, trying to survive. But I was working at Applebee's and I was, but 19 at the time, started working at Applebee's. I was ended up there for like 3 years, what I mean? Back of the house cooking and everything. But I look up, I'm like, this is not what, I envisioned for my life. You know what I mean? I got to do something. So it's something different. The kitchen just wasn't for me, But I don't regret that journey because it was a rough time in that kitchen. It was rough, you know what I mean? And it inspired me to do something different. So at the time, I wanted to get in real estate. So the market was hot around this time, but I didn't have the money to actually flip any houses. So I'm like, I got to get in some way, somehow. So I went to Delaware County Community College. They had a carpentry school. So I went there and got my carpentry license or certificate. And then I started doing subcontracting work for Home Depot, doing doors and windows. So started doing that, and it was actually paying pretty well. But I still wasn't learning much about remodeling houses and stuff. So my brother, he had a best friend out Southwest. He was a contractor, and they were taking warehouses in like the Temple University area, remodel them and turn them into student housing. So I saw that, and I'm like, man, that's what I need to be doing. So I linked up with them, started doing that work, and that's what kind of really turned me on to real estate, because this guy from New York was the investor, but we were doing all the labor, and it was tough. We was out there, 100-degree weather, 100 sheets of sheetrock, getting it in. You know what I mean? But I had to think. I'm like, I need to be on the side that this guy is on. You know what I mean? So I was putting it out there. I was like, I want to get into real estate. The guys that was working with me knew that. And one of them in particular was like, the market had just crashed. So this was 2008 now. The market had crashed. And I didn't really know what was going on at the time. But somebody came to me and it was like, I know a guy with 2 properties for $10,000. So I'm like, man, that's a no-brainer. Shit, you know what I mean? So I gave him the money, and he literally gave me the deeds. There was no title companies involved or nothing. I didn't know nothing. I didn't know people could just create a deed out of the blue, out of thin air.
So this was a real deed, or was he scamming you?
It was a scam. It was a scam. It was a scam.
Hold on one second. Wrong joint. Meant to give you that. Goddamn for the scam. That's crazy. But go ahead.
It was a scam, and the thing is, man, I didn't find out until I was like $100K into the property, because it was in shambles. You know what I mean? So what happened was, it was a guy. He was a known scammer, and he was researching property. He's riding around Philly. Any property he see vacant, you could tell it was vacant and sitting abandoned for a while. He would do the homework and see, where the owner is, see if the owner was deceased or not. They know if the owner deceased, the property vacant, nobody coming for it. So that's what his target was, and he was taking those properties and selling them to guys like me who didn't really know much, So,
bro, education is expensive, ain't
it? Yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? So I purchased the property. The one of them, I remodeled it. You know what I mean? And listed it for sale. It was under contract in 2 weeks. Put $100,000 in there. I even got burnt on the contract side because I didn't know, because I was paying the crews weekly, and they was milking me. I didn't know, you know what I mean? So it's all a learning experience. But I listed the contract. I listed the property. It was under contract in 2 weeks. Then they asked me for the HUD. The HUD one. So for those that don't know, a HUD is simply a settlement statement. It shows all the expenses that you're incurred during the real estate transaction. But again, I didn't know what that was. I didn't have it because I did a handshake deal on the streets. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what's a HUD? So they asked me how I acquired the property. I told them. They immediately referred me to a lawyer. So I got talked to this lawyer, explained to him the situation. Just so happened he knew the guy I was talking about. You know what I mean? He happened to be doing some pro bono work in court for this guy's kids and stuff. And he told me the guy was a scammer. He like, do you want to proceed or anything? I'm like, nah, he's a scammer. So what would I really get back anyway? You know what I mean?
Hold on. Is this the same lawyer that told you that Jay Morrison was a scammer?
No. This is the same lawyer that I had, we were going to fight against. Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, it is. Yep, the same one was like, it's not worth it for you to go after this guy. Yeah. So, we had to do something called a quiet title process. Are you familiar with that?
No, I'm not. I'm learning.
All right. So a quiet title process is when you got to find the rightful owner, and you got to see if they actually want the property or not. And if they do, I would have been, shit out of luck. They would have just took it back, and it would have been a hell of a costly learning experience for me. But, thankfully, not going to say thankfully, but, like I told you, the homeowner was deceased. So, nobody, that she didn't have any heirs or anything like that. and nobody came back. But what the process does, you have to put, you have to get like a private investigator and try to find that person or someone in their family to see if they, want the property. So you got to put an ad in the newspaper for 3 weeks straight, and then you got to get certified mail to either them or a relative, just to see if they want it. But after 3 attempts, if nobody responds, then you just win it. So first one, I won that one, no problem, but that was the one that was most important because I had the money tied up in it.
Yeah.
Second one, it was a duplex. I didn't put any money into it at the time, but I knew it was a scam. So I waited and we did the quiet title process. That person was dead too, but she did have 2 heirs. There were 2 daughters from Philly, but they moved to Oakland. And last time they saw the property, it wasn't really valued as much. So they was like, give me $3,000. So I hurried up, cut the check, get them $3,000. And then, after that experience, that's when I was like, I got to learn this stuff, So I went and learned everything I could about it. I went and got a mentor. And just what happened, that mentor that I got, he was a hard money lender.
Was that the brother from New York?
No, he was a guy. It's a guy. He's from like Utah or something like that.
Uh-huh.
I stumbled across him on the internet. I'm just searching around and stuff. And he was a straight up guy, but I was inspired by his business model. So he started out as a real estate investor. Then he started educating people how to get into real estate. But then, he also was a hard money lender. And he raised money from retirees. And he called it the circle of wealth. So he raised the money from the retirees, right? And he give those funds to the real estate investors, like young up-and-coming people that's trying to get in the game.
Yeah.
So the retirees are feeding these real estate investors the money so they could, generate wealth for their families.
Yeah.
Then, retirees, a lot of times when they retire, they don't just want to sit around. They want to do something else. It's like on to the next, but without, a whole lot of labor. So he teaching them how to invest, and earn money passively. So they, have something to do while they retire. So we call that the circle of wealth. Everybody's benefiting from each other, and I was inspired by that model. I'm like, I definitely don't know any. It was a white guy, and I was like, I don't know any brothers doing this stuff. So if I could do this for our community, that'll be something, major. Yeah. So that's what I set out to do. Yeah.
That's what's up. So when did you find your flow? Because we graduated high school in 01, 08, market crash. That's when you get into the market, kind of like get your feet wet. Learn that everything ain't what it is. You got to really get up on the education. But after getting that first kind of like crash course and real estate on the streets, like when did you find your flow and it became something that you could survive off based off the, I guess, passive income you were making on real estate?
That's a great question. So that was 08 when I first got into the game. It took me a while. So I would say, for me to start like really surviving off of it, it took me 4 years. I would say 2012. So what the difference was, in my investment business, again, during this time, like you get some crazy deals because the market was just flat. So I was on eBay and I ran across a property on 40th and Girard. It was up for sale and somebody in Washington State had actually won the bid for like $50,000.
Yeah.
But they BS and they never proceeded with it, So I was the only other person. I put in an offer at 10 grand. They countered at 12.5. And so I'm like, man, let's go. That's a no-brainer. Now, mind you, for 40th and Girard, that's a hot area right now.
Yeah.
And it was a building that had like a breakfast restaurant or spot down the bottom and then residences up top. So a mixed-use building, and I still own it to this day. But what I did, I converted it into a 5-unit building, and 5-unit, single 5 one-bedroom apartments. And at the time, I was charging like $600 a month. So I was generating like $3,000 a month from that investment. And I was still getting a rental income from the other properties that I purchased too. So that's when I really got in position to start, living off of the real estate income.
Bro, I know the equity on that 40th and Girard joint is amazing right now. That's right across the school from the across the street from the School of the Future, the Please Touch Museum, and there's a lot of investment happening right there in the park, right? And like that joint, that was a blessing right there.
Yeah, it was a blessing because again, honestly, it was not strategic, and I really didn't know what I was doing. I just saw a property for dirt cheap and knew it had to be, a good idea. Because you hear people talking about real estate, invest in real estate, invest in real estate, but unfortunately, in our communities, we don't have many people to show us how to do it the right way. So, I mean, I honestly made every mistake I could make. Lost a lot of money, but it made me stronger, and I could have gave up tons of times, but I decided to stick it out, and it ended up working out eventually.
Let me ask you this: like, if there's a young boy that's from the city right now who's listening to this discussion, right? It's their senior year in high school, the junior year. They're thinking about going off to college. They don't really know what they're going to school for, but like, how would you advise them? Would you advise them to go straight off to school? Like, and mind you, Philly, a dangerous city, so staying around can be hazardous to your life. But like, how would you advise them on in terms of making decisions for getting their life started, as a young adult?
That's a great question, and you brought up a great point because I would definitely advise against going directly into college because I see too many people, even some people who think they know exactly what they want to do, but most people are not sure what they want to do. We're told that college is the way, college is the way, and college is a beautiful thing if you want to be in a profession where it's required, you know what I mean? And you sure that's what you want to do. But if you're not sure, don't just wait. You're wasting money. You know what I mean? Do not waste your money. Go ahead to a community college or something like that if you just want to explore, But I would say take that first year and explore because, like, Vaughn, what I found, man, like especially in our community, we don't have the luxury of time to just find ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, them streets is crazy. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot you facing. You know what I mean? A lot of us are in positions where as though we got to figure out how we're going to put food on the table, how we're going to take care of our siblings and this and that. So, like, we don't get to think about ourselves or what we really want to do or explore what we really want and find joy in. And I think that's the most important part, finding your passion. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're going to just give up when things get tough. And it's always going to get tough. No matter what you do, nothing is completely sweet. You know what I mean? So, like, I would say try the best you can to prioritize yourself. You know what I mean? Prioritize yourself. I know you might think you need certain things and you want things. I mean, you want that car, you want that house and stuff overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. It's more value in taking that time to find yourself and find exactly what you want to do. You know what I mean? Because you'll prevent yourself from spinning wheels. You know what I mean? Time is valuable. You know that, Vaughn. It seemed like we were just in high school. I mean, listen to last week. That was
absolutely
20 years ago now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Only thing my headline tell me it was 20 years ago. You know what I mean? This joint, I mean, every 5 years, this joint, he dipping back. But you know what I mean? I definitely feel you on that, bro, because my own journey was just really interesting. You understand what I'm saying? But like,
always been an interesting guy. You know what I mean? You've always been an interesting guy. You know?
Absolutely. So I'm just thinking back on it like I've been through a lot. Yeah. But like all those experiences that I've been through kind of like made me like who I am today and kind of like customize, my path forward. Like my path is like a one of one. You mean like the my last 10 years and corporate America is an experience that I was never supposed to have. Like, you don't come from a background, that I come from and get involved in the things that I've, been involved in and then literally make it into corporate America, become a licensed CPA, like, and do things of that nature. Now, it's funny, right? Because I remember when I first graduated from college, like I've always felt like a sense of responsibility to our community. So I remember like I would look for opportunities. Like the company I was working for when I first graduated, they had like this financial literacy program where, you would just go into the hood, partner with a school and teach the young people like financial literacy. Right. So like I played a big role in helping to roll out that program. There was also a program called the First Tee. It was like a golf program where you teach people, lessons about life, gems and wisdom through the game of golf. So I got involved with that. But I remember I would use my story and my experience, and I would go, Lynette, right? I think you funded a property for her.
Yeah, yeah.
She was teaching at a school, and I would, reach out to her like, yo, like, I'm down to come and talk to your students or whatever. And she would invite me into a class to come and talk to her students. But I would like share my story. And after a while, after I got a bit more politically educated, like I started feeling some kind of way about sharing my story, because I started realizing like, yo, my story ain't realistic. Like you have a better chance of like hitting the lottery than to achieve the things that I've achieved, having gone through the things that I've been through. And once I recognized that, I was like, I felt almost like irresponsible, because it's not as simple as just do A, B, and C and you'll get D. Like I had a lot going on, like the family structure that was around me, the opportunities that I was given, the different mentors I had access to, the places I happened to be in at the right time that connected me with this person who connected me with that person. And when I realized like all that went into making me who I am, I was like, this isn't something that's like replicatable. Like I can't simply say to a young boy who coming off the streets, like, yo, just do this and this and you'll get that. Because it don't work like that. It's not designed like that. So I guess I say all that to say, like, what responsibility do you feel like you have to like the younger generation, having come from where you come from and having the success that you currently have?
That's a great question again. Like, you know what I mean? Because like, so I'm a laid back guy. You know what I mean? I really don't. Before I'm honestly, no lie, man. When you see me in front of these cameras, it's tough for me. You know what I mean?
I know.
I start sweating and everything. You know what I mean? But like exactly what you said, I identified that I was being a bit selfish. You know what I mean? Because I have all this knowledge that I acquired over these years has helped me change my life, and I'd be doing our people a disservice if I didn't put us on to this information that I've learned over the years. You know what I mean? Because one thing about my industry, the hard money industry specifically, you'd be hard pressed to find any black lenders in this industry. You know what I mean? Like I can honestly say, man, I've ran across one other black brother, you know what I mean? That was a direct hard money lender, and he was up in Trenton, New Jersey. Other than him, we're dinosaurs, you know what I mean? So like, if nothing else, I need to make sure that our people is getting information and know that they can get involved in this financial game without having tons of money. You know what I mean? Because it's a lot of people out there. They under the impression that you have to be a millionaire to get into to lend money. You know what I mean? But nobody else does. You know, they don't. But they're not going to tell you that. This industry is ran by a bunch of old white men. You know what I mean? And there's no schools, there's no trainings or anything like that for people to learn how to get into the industry. And they've been benefiting for ages. You know what I mean? From this niche. So I've stumbled my way across, and I feel like it's my responsibility to, give people this information. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It may not be good for everybody, but I know it can be beneficial for a lot of people. So it's my job to put it out there.
Yeah. When I saw Lynette post a joint, I think it was either on her, because this was when I was on Facebook back in the day, and she posted a joint, and she was standing beside you, and you were handing her like the keys to like her new their first investment property. Like, so how'd that situation work out?
Me and Lynette always cool. So Lynette actually, when we left high school, she actually went to Millsville with me. She was up college. She was up college with me. I think she left that first year as well. So me and her kind of always kept in touch, like loosely via social media and stuff. I guess she just knew what I think. She followed me on social media, and she knew what I was into, and she was ready to make that purchase. Most likely, if they not have a relationship with you, they're more inclined to reach out to you than anybody else, to support. So I guess she knew that I would, have her best interest in mind and everything. So yeah, so her property, she actually got in a great time, because she got in right before the pandemic in 2020, and it was a triplex up there on like 16th and Erie, and that area is like rapidly developing too. They're trying to put a Marriott, I think, up there somewhere too. So
that's crazy. I used to live on Carlisle and Erie too, by the way. The brother who I was renting from owns like 50 properties in Philly, like ridiculous.
His name Antoine?
No, I'll tell you offline. I get, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a gold mine, and that was her first start in the game, and I was just glad to help. Help somebody that from our past. You know what I mean? But she's still in my present too. Like she's a friend. So
Yeah.
I value all the relationships that we have. You know what I mean? So it just felt good to do business with our people, and
absolutely. Let me ask you this: how like we both from North Philly. Gentrification been hitting us for like a really long time, and I have friends from New York, and they always hit me up like, yo, like, what's up with the properties in Philly? And I'll be having to tell them I can put you on to like where you can look around at, but like I almost feel a little bit of kind of way about it, because it's like y'all have all this extra disposable income because you in New York, where the prices is like through the moon, but Philly is a market where everybody else from everywhere else is like, yeah, let's go invest in Philly, but it's a situation where people in our neighborhoods are being pushed out. Right. Our neighborhoods are being gentrified, and I don't feel better if the gentrifier is, a black person than I do if it's a white person. But I just want to ask you, like, what's your perspective on that? Like, how should we be thinking about, gentrification and the market realities in our community? How should we be combating it? Like what are your thoughts? Because you're in the market and you play in a space that is very hot, when it comes to gentrification.
It's I'm between a rock and a hard place because, like you said, you know what I mean? I have personal ties to these people that are being negatively affected by that. You know what I mean? So on one hand, I don't appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, I know that this change is inevitable. You know what I mean? So like we got to educate ourselves and figure out, we got to shift the mindset a bit. It's not about like what's happening to us. We got to be like, how can we take advantage of what's going on? You know what I mean? How can we educate ourselves and put ourselves in a position to benefit from what's going on? Because we can, a lot of us can't, because, whether we purchase the properties ourselves or if it's left down, if it's heir property left, from our parents or grandparents, whatever, a lot of times, we're in a position to benefit from it, but we just aren't educated enough to know how. You know what I mean? See, a lot of people get left properties and they aren't paying these taxes and they're losing them. And, they could have just sold it, if anything, and capitalized off of it. Or if they know how to, they might need money to fix it up. There's ways to get 100% financing to fix it up.
Let me ask you this. If grandma leave you a crib, middle of North Philly, area is rough. We got the "We Buy Houses" sign. Every corner you drive down is "We Buy Houses, we buy houses, we buy houses cash." You see it everywhere. So you're going to be getting people beating down your door to purchase your crib from you if you live in North Philly. So grandma left you this crib. Somebody come at your neck like, yo, I'll give you $500,000 for it. I'll give you $1 million for it. Like, are you telling people to sell grandma crib, or are you telling them to hold on to it? And if they hold on to it, what's the game plan? Like,
so, I mean, it's up to them to decide the game plan. What I would personally do is I would hold on to it, because they're knocking for a reason. You know what I mean? They know the future. Like I said, the plan is already solidified. You know what I mean? So the future is inevitable. But we got to realize the value that we're sitting on. You know what I mean? And that again comes to being educated. But what I would do, grandma left me the house. It's in a hot area, but it's still a hood, but it's a hot area. And, with future plans for development, what I would do is, and you may not have a ton of money. I understand that situation. The thing is, you don't. That money is in that property that you have. So you have to quit claim deed it over to your name. So let's say it already is quit claim deeded over. What you need to do is contact somebody like me, or first contact a real estate agent to determine the value of the property. You want to see what the value is. And then based on that value, you'll know if it's, let's say it's worth at least $100,000, then, you can refinance that property. You can get up to 80% of that property's value. So if it's 100,000, you can pull out 80,000 right then and there, and if the property needs rehab or repairs, you can put that into the property, and that should increase the value. If you put 80 grand into a property that's worth 100,000, it should be pretty much worth at least 250,000. So, you're building equity there. But let's say that I forgot where I left off. I'm sorry. All right, so
you said if they put the 80 in, the property that's worth 100, that should give you the 250. So you have the equity. Yeah.
All right, so that's one scenario. But then let's say that the property is turnkey; it doesn't need any repairs; it's fine as is. You still, let's say it's worth that still 100,000. You pull that out, you get that 80,000. Now you have working capital. You know what I mean, and you can invest in other properties to continue building your real estate portfolio, or you can explore another vision that you may have had, or a vision, idea, or a business that you've been wanting to do. So I mean, that equity just puts you in a position to invest and just continue investing. That's what I would do. I wouldn't go buy a car. I wouldn't go buy another house unless it's an investment property. I would take that money and keep investing it to let it grow and build for the future.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, bro. Like a lot of us are grandchildren of the Great Migration, right? Or children of the Great Migration, right? My dad came up from Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
And he was born in 49. He came up when he was 8. So I guess he came up from Savannah to Philly in 57. And my grandparents had lots of land, and still, have lots of land, down in the South. So a lot of us are being pushed out of these communities, like, in the North that our families migrated to. Like, how do you envision, us being able to come together to build community together and not be isolated on like islands? And the reason why I'm asking this, I've been following your Instagram page and I've been really inspired by the story of your family and getting the land that your grandfather had and the work that y'all doing on it right now. And I'm like, man, that actually excites me. Like, so the first part of the question is, how do you envision us as a collective actually building community together? And then the second part, I want you to just talk about your own personal project you're currently working on with your family land and the campsite, the campground y'all looking to build.
So the first things first, as far as us building community together. So I'll start with the first things first is we got to begin loving each other and trusting each other more. You know what I mean? It starts with that. If you don't and respect is number one. You know what I mean? You don't have to like somebody, you know what I mean? But we got to respect each other. If not, then we're not going to be able to get along. We're not going to be able to build together. We all got to be somewhat on the same page, for that to happen. You know what I mean? So, it's a lot of division, stuff that, is involved with our, community and stuff. So we got to work on that first, but I'll start with the city, man. Like, so again, you touched on one thing earlier about, Philly being a dangerous place. And I've identified something, you know what I mean? So, I mean, a lot of it is us, you know what I mean, against us, right? But
yeah,
I feel like it's strategic, you know what I mean? This thing, it's been a seed that's been planted, you know what I mean, for all this stuff to occur. Because again, you know what I mean, we had white flight back in, in the back in the day, and when the cities were just dominated by us, you know what I mean, blacks and minorities, and all the resources went. But now you see the resources coming back. They have plans for the city now. Yeah. And most of us are we going through it. You know what I mean? We're struggling. We're getting affected by the violence and, everything that's going on. And we went out. Every time I talk to somebody in Philly, like, I'm trying to get out of here. And I fear that, I know our city is valuable. I know what's coming, but I fear that none of us, again, are going to capitalize off of it because everybody's leaving. You know what I mean? And it's fine to leave because I don't want you to sit in a danger zone, but we still have to own something there. It's important for us to own something in Philly and what, and wherever we live, wherever we reside, in our communities, ownership is important. Or else, we're just going to be so dependent upon others and we're never going to gain nothing.
Yeah.
So, I think that's definitely with the city. But so I think that's where it starts, though. You know what I mean? Kind of, we got to take control over our communities. You know what I mean? We got to fight all the stuff that's going on. I mean, man. I mean, that's a whole. I mean, we can have 30 podcasts on. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like, so in terms of us, like, I'm watching brothers and sisters online who, you'll see a story like 19 families come together and purchase 400 acres of land, and they're now building homes, you know what I mean? So right away you have a community, right, of people who had the vision to acquire land together, you know what I mean? And on that land, like you can, I mean, listen, you can build a schoolhouse, you can build a meeting house, you can build a community store, like whatever it is that you need, like you can be like kind of like self-reliant. But like, do you see that as something that's valuable for us to do, like moving forward, or will it be? I think it's going to be a requirement. Like if I'm being honest, but I just want your perspective as somebody who's moving in real estate.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, um, if you look at it, like Bill Gates, he owns. I think he might own more land than anyone else in the world, or
Yeah.
something like that. I
Mm-hmm,
mean, like,
mm-hmm.
all these guys are silently acquiring land. You know what I mean? So they know how powerful it is. And then again, they're not building anymore. So I mean, it's only going to be a higher demand for this stuff. But regardless of all that, we have to learn how to be self-sufficient. You know what I mean? We just can't depend on these large corporations and stuff like that, because they're killing us softly. I mean, you look at, just from the cost of things with inflation, the
Yeah.
quality of things, you know what I mean? We're getting cancer from a lot of the things that we're consuming and stuff like that. So the only way to have peace of mind and know that you're consuming the right things is to take control and, feed yourself. You know what I mean? I think it's going to come to that eventually. We saw that during the pandemic. Everybody was scrambling around, trying to figure things out. We thought it might have been the last days. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, yeah.
People that had, the people that in the South who had the farms and stuff, they wasn't as concerned as us, because
Yeah.
they knew that they could survive. They were planning for this stuff, and a lot of time they were either planning for it, or they just set themselves up to be in a position, whereas though they can still thrive and not be dependent upon third parties. So I think that's, if Black people, if nothing else, we should have learned, you know what I mean, from history, that we have to depend on each other. We can't depend on anybody else.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, we have to try to take control and, like you said, form our own communities, protect our own communities, and that's what it's going to take in order for us to thrive as a culture, for sure.
Yeah, talk to me about this journey with the land in your family. Like I've been enjoying seeing your father talking about, like, the sap that comes. He's like that's resin right there. You talk to JoJo about it. Like, so break that down for me, bro.
Yeah. So my grandfather and his cousin, they acquired 500 acres back in 1911, and I just recently found this out. So they acquired it from my grandmother's family. I think now she was mixed. I think she was mixed. My grandmother. So I'm not sure if that side of the family was white or what. You know what I mean? But it was her family. They died off, and my grandfather and his cousin purchased 500 acres from them. And this is a small country town called Samora, North Carolina. And they farmed it. So my dad had about 10 siblings and stuff, and they all farmed it, their cousins, and everybody was labor. You know what I mean? They always, and they had everything. They were prosperous. And my grandfather was actually the wealthiest Black man in the town, during that time. But what happened was, I'm not sure you heard of Duke Energy, but it's a large energy company, like in the Carolinas or in the South. It's a lake. Well, it's a lake now that now exists, but it was a creek at the time. It was called Hyco Creek. It's now Hyco Lake. So what happened was they took a lot of my family's land through eminent domain. They said that they needed it for a certain purpose, but it was interfering with their plans. So not necessarily, but they didn't want the Black man to have this valuable land. And for everything that they were planning for the development. So what they did with this lake, they widened the lake somehow. I mean, this creek. They widened the creek and turned it into a lake. So now you have all these beautiful lakefront homes in this area, built up all around my grandfather's property. So, and they have $500,000, $1 million, multi-million-dollar houses going on this land now. So that was the plan the entire time. When Duke Energy took this property from my grandfather, you can't tell me that it wasn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because how you own everything except the waterfront? Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? So now the problem is, since my grandfather passed, he passed when I was 3 years old, 1986. So nobody ever touched this land since. I had an uncle who was trying to do a little farming and stuff, but he ended up dying. So Now it's just been sitting, a bunch of heirs. They've been paying the taxes and just had the land sitting. So they are getting older now, so I reverse a bit. My father, when I was growing up, always told me how valuable this land was. He said, never sell this land. I'm going to give you my portion. Of course, you never sell this land, this and that. So that's what I grew up with in my head. You know what I mean? Never selling this land. This is family land. We got to protect it at all costs. So they're all getting older now. They're all getting older now. My father moved back down to North Carolina, and my uncle. So they stay in like the family house, and to them it's just a headache because they got the land, they got to mow the lawn, and it's a lot like acres and stuff. Not all of it, where their house is, probably a few acres, but they got to mow the lawn and pay the taxes. So to them it's a headache, right? But I've been asking about this land for a while, and never really got much about it. Then lo and behold, just last year I asked about it again, and it was under contract to be sold. But I'm like, well, wait, how is it under contract? Y'all didn't tell anybody in the family. Y'all didn't offer it to anybody in the family. I'm confused. I was always told not to sell this land. So they like, oh, ain't nobody gonna do nothing with this land, this and that. Mainly referring to the people that's down there, I guess, but they didn't think anybody would do anything with the land for some reason, So I'm like, I'm interested. They said, it's too late now. It's under contract, So I'm like, man, you know what I mean? So luckily, it's air property, and it's about 10 people that need to sign off on it. And my uncle died, so he had 2 sons that needed to sign off on it, and one is, and he's MIA. They've been trying to find him for years.
Yeah.
So, again, they had to do that quiet title process, that I mentioned earlier, where you got to try to find that person, if they want it. They couldn't find them, thank God. So in North Carolina, they have a statute that says after the quiet title process, you have a 10-day upbid period where you could have came down there and put in a bid for this land.
Yeah.
So I found out about that, and I went down there and put the bid in.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that the agent that was representing my family, he was representing the buyer too. Now the buyer was a white guy, So I'm like, scratching my head. How you gonna give up all this land to a white man? Like, Nothing against white people, obviously, but they have enough. We need to keep whatever we can have. Like we just discussing. Our communities need land. So, the agent reached out to me. He like, oh well, we were blindsided by this offer, this and that. I'm like, no, you might have been blindsided, but they weren't, because I told them exactly what I was going to do. They talked about my uncles and them. And so he was like, we just want to see, what your stance is, like, see what your position. I'm like, my position is this is family's land. This is family land. I was always told you never sell this land. So I'm here to acquire my family's land. You know what I mean? If nobody else want it, I want it. And then I started talking big because I knew that he would go back and tell the guy. I'm like, so I'm willing to go up to whatever. I'm not going nowhere. This family land, like, trying to intimidate the guy so he can go. But it ended up working though. You know what I mean? So I don't necessarily know if he was intimidated, but he knew I was there for the long haul. And morally, he was like, I can't fight a guy for his family's land. You know what I mean? Rightfully so. So he backed out, and I won the bid, and I got the 34 acres down there. So
okay, all right. Yeah. So let me ask you this: what's the vision now? And do you have a family plan? Like, do you also plan on like creating a family trust to protect the land and making sure that it can't be sold by like one individual? Like what's the vision like long term? I'm asking this for my own edification, because my family has land, down in Georgia as well. And my uncle has been going through the process of developing that family trust so that the land can never be sold, by one person. Like we'll always have that land like within the family. So like I'm asking you as a young person from our generation, what's the vision?
So yeah, that family trust is important, you know what I mean? Because again, we want to try to maintain, ownership in as much land as possible for generations to come, but so I'm trying to decide, if I'm going to just relocate down there, man, because like honestly, there's no place on earth where I feel more peaceful, It's like I feel powerful down there, man. Like you see, I was just down there yesterday. I just got back yesterday from down there, and on that specific side, I've never been that deep. You know, I went down there every year, every summer as a kid, you know, so I always had a connection to the land, but I never even really been back there, you know, because it was all wooded, you know, so that part, they had, like, when I was coming up, they still had like 90 acres, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I couldn't navigate through all that stuff. So it was just something, man. It's like the ancestors, the energy went through me, man. I just felt so powerful, you know what I mean? Back there in that land, you know, having my father back there with me, man, it just felt good. So like I'm considering relocating down there. But besides that, definitely, you know, we're gonna have some farms down there. You know,
I was gonna say you plan on activating it, getting the food growing again, food sovereignty.
Absolutely. We're gonna plant the fruit trees. You know, we're gonna have the gardens, the vegetables, and fruits and everything. We're gonna have livestock. But you know, the biggest issue is I don't have any skills with that stuff. So I have to find some people to.
Come on, bro. If you taught yourself flip funding, like you could teach yourself how to live off the land. Like I mean, you just gotta make the investment in the education.
Yeah, you're right. But see, flip funding, you know, it takes away from that right now because I'm so occupied with that. But honestly, I have an exit plan, man. Like 40, I'm thinking about hanging it all up and just going to live that farm life. You know what I mean? For real. Because I've been moving, you know, moving fast and hard for a long time. You know what I mean?
Like 40 right around the corner, bro. What's it, 2023?
Yeah.
Man, that's love, bro. So I want you to give some advice to because I know you have a course now to teach people the lessons that you've learned as a real estate guy, as a flip funder. So give the family some advice. Tell them how they can get in touch with you, the benefits of making the investment in your course, so they don't have to, you know, lose lots of money along the way. Like, I mean, put people on to any information you want them to have right now, bro. And make sure you tell them what your Instagram is so they can go and check out what's happening on the land. I was watching the video yesterday. You had the excavators out there getting ready to put the road down. Like building a new road. Which y'all gonna name the road, by the way? It's gonna be a family name?
Yeah, it gotta be a family name. Cause like listen, so my family owns 2 roads right there, and where all the land is, we own 2 roads. One is called Jeff Road, the other is called Paula's Lane. I don't know who Jeff is, I don't know who Paula is. So I don't know what I mean. So I would like to rename it after my grandfather and my grandmother, you know. If we can't change those, then definitely that road we're gonna, you know, make it my family's land on my father's side. And that's actually my last name too. I changed it to Royster, but everybody knew me by Stanback, so I still go by that. But his name.
Got you. All right, hold on. You changed your last name, bro?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: was it so that you can finesse, like, within the real estate game? Is it easier to move having a wealthy sounding last name?
No. So I use Stanback. That's the name I grew up with. You know what I mean? But my dad's last name is Royster.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense.
That's why. So the only reason my name is Stanback because my dad and my mom wasn't married, and my brothers, their last name Stanback, my mom Stanback. So she wanted us all to have the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got you. All right. I mean, shout out to the Oyster Perpetual Rolex and all that. All right. But all right, no, just get a family some game real quick, bro, on how they can the benefit. And let me tell y'all this. Rod is a regular dude, and he's not a shyster, he's not a scammer. He's not really comfortable in front of the camera, but over this last year, he's now using, you know, these platforms, Instagram and TikTok, to give y'all little short snippets of game on how to get into the game. So if you are thinking about investing, if you have some disposable capital, if you want to learn about flip funding or anything real estate related, like, bro is a wealth of knowledge. So just just give them some info on how they can find you and the course and all that good stuff.
Yep. So you can find me, you know, Instagram is Rod_hardmoney. You can email me, rod@flipfunding.com. So Hard Money University is the education arm, and flip funding is like the financial arm. So, you know, I started out as a real estate investor. I'm still invest, you know, till this day, but hard money has, like, you know, taken a priority, you know, over real estate investing for me. Mainly because, you know, real estate investing is great. You know, like I said, I'll always continue to do it, but it has its, ups and downs like everything else. So the thing about real estate that made me shift my focus, there's a few things that made me shift my focus towards hard money side. You don't have to deal with the tenants, and you don't have to deal with the contractors. Those are like the two biggest headaches in real estate. But the benefits of like being on the hard money end is that most of my clientele is from the hood, you know what I mean? And most of the loans that we provide are for the hood. So we're transforming our neighborhoods, you know what I mean? Like, I'm playing a part in transforming Philadelphia and every other city that we lend in. So, I mean, that's extremely gratifying for me. You know what I mean? And so, like, if you either tried real estate and, it didn't work out for you, or you wanted to get in real estate and just didn't have enough money to, like, purchase that property, this is another way for you to get involved and still have an impact out here. You know what I mean? You can still help people build generational wealth for themselves and their families. You can help these communities, turn around and improve our communities. So, I mean, that's strong. So that's the value I see in what I do, in addition to the real estate investing. So if you, want to get involved, you can contact me. Again, email me, Rod at Flip Funding. You can follow me, shoot me a DM, Rod_Hard Money on Instagram.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get an affiliate link, bro. I'm gonna need like a coupon code and all of that. I'm gonna drop that joint. Yeah, I say y'all make sure y'all invest in hard money using my coupon code. We're gonna work it out.
Absolutely, no doubt about it, for sure.
Yeah. All right. So listen, anything else you want to share, bro, before we tap out?
I mean, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate catching up. It's been a while, Vaughn. You know what I mean? We definitely got history, man. So
first of all, nobody in this world knows me by Vaughn. You mean so you've been dropping that joint the whole interview, but it's all love. It's all
Omowale, you know what I mean? I'm glad to see you doing your thing, man. I'm glad to see everything that you're doing for our people. I'm excited about everything that you got going on. I have to actually tune into a little more. I was just watching your the war talks, when you were talking about that you did the response to 19 Keys and everything.
The revolution is based on land. Yeah. And let me just make it clear. Like, I'm not like, first of all, I rock with that, brother. I just, from a political perspective, like, I don't want us to think that the problem that we face with, we're going to be able to solve it with NFTs and, the metaverse and crypto. I'm pro all of that. Like, if you can invest in that education, learn it and find a way to generate, wealth and different streams of revenue and income for you and your family and your community, then definitely do that. I just don't want us to be under the false pretense that doing those things is enough to solve the problem that we face with, because the problem is much more sophisticated than that. And I just think that we have to have a level of sophistication in our analysis. That's it. So
you're right. That's where it starts, with that sophistication and education, for sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, listen, man, I'm gonna let my bro tap out. Yo, as always, hold on 1 second.
Yo, check this out. Run my Uncle Omowale his likes.
If y'all just pulling up, family, make sure y'all smack the like button. I'm gonna put my brother Rod. His Instagram is gonna be right in the description box. Please do tap in with him, follow him, DM him, get in tune, and all that good stuff. We're gonna go ahead and tap out. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day. All right. Peace.
Peace, y'all. Appreciate it.
Going off topic.
Off topic?
You really off topic right now. Yo, you way off topic. How is it that everybody's over here and you way over there off topic?